That's just insane to me. Like,
What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time for OnComicsGround.com's flagship podcast, panel to panel, where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. I just surprised my entire cast and went live. I don't even care. We were mid conversation about the Arkham games. I said, go!
fine.
We are here live for episode 10. We are here back after a little bit of a break, getting things reevaluated and restructured. We are here back to get things going for you for our pre-San Diego Comic-Con show, where we've had so much news come out in the past few days about so many amazing things. We want to sit here and talk about it for you, as next week is San Diego Comic-Con. We will most likely have a guest, and we will have some fun talking about all the announcements that we will have heard Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And anything that came out on Sunday we won't know about, but we will still talk about stuff and whatnot. So, to my left, we have the man who is not dead from heat stroke, thank the Lord. Mr. California construction welder man, Travis. How you doing?
Oh, a lot better. I just kicked off my boots, and all that 130-degree sweat is hitting this air, and it feels so good.
And to my right, we have the woman who is pumped, is dying for Batwoman to come to CW this fall. Mary, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay.
That's what's up. And as always, my name is James Portis. I'm excited about what's going on in the comic book industry. We have some amazing topics for you tonight. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. Follow our website On Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. Check out our website On Comics Ground with hyphens between the words.com every day, weekday, for all of the latest news and opinion pieces and reviews about the latest comic books. And we are going to get into it right now. So, no, that's not how that works. So someone tried to call me, and I'm like, no, I'm doing a show. Okay, so first topic of the evening is that Forbes has announced today that as of Friday night sales, Spider-Man Far From Home has officially reached $13.4 million. And I think that's a pretty good number for like this tail end of the Infinity Saga. Who has seen this movie?
Me.
Mary, you didn't go see it?
I haven't even seen Homecoming.
Oh, damn.
I'm not a super huge spider person.
That's fair. Travis, did you go see it?
No, I have not. We have failed.
Wait, Mary, didn't you go see a movie recently? Oh, no, you went and saw Weird Al. That's what that was. You went and saw Weird Al.
We went to a Weird Al concert.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you said you turned down Dark Phoenix to go see Weird Al. That's what it was. Okay.
A Dark Phoenix.
Oh, wait, you saw Dark Phoenix?
Paid IMAX money to go see.
You paid IMAX money to see Dark Phoenix? Are you that? Oh my god.
No. We had AMC, and matinee IMAX prices are like $8.99.
What?
$5. We had a $5 Fandango reward card.
That is crazy. Well,
yeah. So Dark Phoenix, not great, but it's not as terrible as.
I will stand by Last Stand. I will fight to the death for that movie. Yes, it is flawed, but that movie still has some good heart in it. I love it.
I'm going to go off on a tiny little Dark Phoenix tangent here. I think why Victoria and I kind of did enjoy it as much as we did is that we did see it in IMAX. And those Phoenix effects in IMAX were super dope.
Oh, so if you didn't see it in IMAX, you probably wouldn't like it as much.
Turner, and she brings everything she can to this character. They did the absolute best with what they were given.
Okay. That's fair. Well, in regards to Spider-Man Far From Home, you can go check out our Spider-Man podcast, Living on the Edge, for a full in-depth analysis and discussion about that with myself, the host of the show, Alec, and our special guest, Ian, who was one of our writers. We got really in-depth talking about it. But short and sweet of it, this movie kind of just blew everything up and was like, okay, wait a couple more years, and we'll come back to this giant mess we just left, and it's like, oh god, this is what's happening. That's scary. So that'll be fun to come back to. I'm wondering what the future of the MCU is now that we've gotten this finality, and like it leaves it in a weird place. So I wonder what could be next for the next slate of movies.
I think we're gonna see a complete tonal, like not a tonal shift. It's still gonna be like line joke, but a kind of a focus with the MCU, if that makes any sense. I think they're gonna start moving into newer comic properties as opposed to expanding on existing ones that weren't touched on in the first round of what are they calling it? The Infinity Saga?
Yeah, they're calling it the Infinity Saga.
Yeah. So I think we're going to kind of move from those characters through to some newer ones because I've seen some Twitter rumors going around that a slate of movies may have been released Facebook page, and it was rumored that, I mean, these are all unsubstantiated, but like Dark Avengers,
Ooh, Dark Avengers.
getting a movie.
Okay.
To move on to a more recently introduced crop of characters as opposed to expanding into additional Avengers characters.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Travis, what do you think?
Honestly, I at risk of going full fanboy here, I really hope that despite what they say, that they lead up for the next phase being some kind of like House of M type of thing, because all the elements are there.
You know what I would do for a House of M movie, fam? I'd break some ankles to make that happen. Like just a no,
Bro.
but the thing is, we need so much like ground to cover, and the fact that we just kicked all the Avengers out the door, I don't think that'll ever be a thing. Like the most we would get is if Marvel ever got their animation department together, we might get an animated movie, but I don't see it happening, and it sucks.
They don't like do animated movies.
They used to. They had stuff like the Doctor Strange movie and like Invincible Iron Man and stuff like that. I miss those kind of movies. And like ever since then, the most we get is like a Lego movie of like Lego Black Panther recently, and I was like, bruh, y'all need to do better than this.
Well, like with the way that I'm seeing it, we need a new Wolverine. We need to have the X-Men brought into it, and I feel like there's no better time to have Professor X show up than after Wanda's losing of the Vision. You know what I mean? That seems like the perfect storm of things to have her, absorb him like she did, and then I don't care about any of the movie as long as they have Clint shooting Wanda with arrows, being "What's wrong with you?" That's honestly, that's the scene I need.
See, and that's the thing. Do you know how clean that would have been as like a backdoor to everything if they would have kept Natasha alive and killed Clint, and then have Wanda bring him back by like destroying the universe and just have House of M in like its own little way? That would have been so clean and so respectful to like how comics had been that it would have been fine. And Renner could have keep acting and doing his thing, but they ruined it. I don't know, but no, like, but yes, please go check out our discussion on Far From Home. Hopefully, the next slate of MCU movies are amazing. You heard our opinions here. We are going to get into this topic that had Black Twitter and comic Twitter up in just emotion this week. So, Naomi, this book...
Oh, my heart!
I love how I just say Naomi and she just reaches out and starts my heart. And the worst part was, behind the scenes, Mary just hops up in the group chat and just like starts yelling about it, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then she posts it, and I'm like, you can't just go with my heart and not explain yourself.
We should say just in advance, because we don't do this well, but spoilers, very slight spoilers for Naomi number 6.
Yes, slight spoilers. Like, it just came out, so it's slight spoilers of like a couple days, but it's definitely a thing. So Naomi, this character that Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker have been writing ever since the Wonder Comics imprint began. Um, it's this weird book that apparently she lives in a small town. Superman comes like flying in one day when no one had ever noticed that before, and we find out that her dad's an alien. I haven't got past issue 4 still. Like, I forget if her mom's an alien too. Like, and like all this different stuff going on. And Mary, you've read more of it than I have. What has been going on in this book?
Well, since the trade hasn't hit, I don't want to reveal too much, but Naomi is a black teenage girl who was adopted into a family. That her adoptive father is an alien, and it's more about her journey of self-discovery and figuring out who she is, and whether or not she is from Earth herself. It is a very emotional read. It's got a lot of good action in it, but it's a character-driven bit, and I think it does that a little better than Bendis does. It is a joint effort, but it has David F. Walker all over it.
Yes, so much. Like, I feel like Bendis is like, hey, like, this is what I want you to do, but make it the heartfelt thing that you do really well, while I go write Young Justice and ruin it. I'm like, ugh.
Naomi feels naturally relatable. She is a character. She feels very naturally relatable. It's not kind of that forced comic book, this character is kind of the quirky, nerdy stereotype kind of a thing. She's very much, I think the last time we saw that happen was with Kamala Khan, about she's just very naturally relatable as a character.
That's a good comparison.
And so compare Naomi to Kamala in the sense that they are fully fleshed out, personable characters. So, I said, issue 6 leads into a trade release, so I don't want to give out all of the story because there are plenty of people who are waiting for the trade.
Yes. But the big thing that sent comic Twitter and Black Twitter in a fuss this week, and why Mary keeps saying her heart, and while I have my heart just it's full of emotion. Travis, did you hear about this?
No, I have been sleeping on Naomi apparently because I'm hearing all this. And I'm like, wow, what? This is all stuff I like.
Travis is getting a live reaction to this.
Okay, so it was revealed at towards the end of the issue apparently that Naomi's last name is McDuffie.
What?
And Bendis.
All right. Wait a minute. I need to read this book now because you guys are like alien parentage and stuff and so I'm inside. I want it to be Icon, and I'm gonna read this.
Bruh, do you know what I would do? Oh my god.
Okay, well, for someone listening who doesn't understand the significance, the tribute is to legendary comic creator Dwayne McDuffie, who very tragically died in 2011, a day after his 49th birthday. Complications from emergency heart surgery, if I remember. But he was one of the co-founders of Milestone Comics. I mean, can I say, he is absolutely legendary.
Yes. It is sad that we do not have him here to help influence the next generation. And with this thing that has come up, and with Naomi's been this weird outlier that has been going on with just DC as a whole right now, but also comic speculation, where almost every one of her issues sells out, goes to multiple prints. It's just this collector's item because people want to know about the mystery and know what's going on with her. And issue 6 is going to be flying up from the tribute alone. Like, holy crap. And it gives me a little bit of hope that maybe there is a possibility for a change in DC in regards to African American heroes. Because this can be a little bit of a beta test because For those who don't know, we announced it like a few months back that our newest podcast, Blurred Grounds, is starting next month, where we talk about everything when it comes to African American nerds, culture, and whatnot. But myself and Travis are a part of this, and Mary, being the milestone guru that she is and how much she cares about diversity, this is a topic that I feel like we could discuss here of what can we really do to fix the problem of African American representation at the big two? Because Naomi has been this weird outlier that's just been going and selling out and doing amazingly, but a Vixen book can't sell, a Black Lightning book can't sell. Like, Jon Stewart has, except for a mini series, never had a good selling book. Like, do we need to just recreate a new slew of characters for DC to prop up, or what do we do?
I mean, obviously, I can't speak a lot to this, but back through the history of some of these characters, and I really do pride myself on comic book history.
Yes.
The effort just was not there. I think that's something, and I love DC. I do. I love them so much, but as a DC fan, like, I feel like we should be the first to call them out on their bullcrap.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have dropped the ball time and again when it comes to Black characters and Black superheroes. I mean, Jon Stewart, he was a character, but he's not a fan favorite character because of the comic books.
He's a fan favorite because of the TV show.
Yep.
Because of the TV show. And same thing with Static Shock, where, or just Static, in my opinion. When he was published through Milestone, he was just Static. And the same thing with Static is that he's not popular because everybody read Milestone. He's popular because he had the cartoon.
He had the casual effect happen to him.
Not actually a bad thing. And I don't want it to sound like I'm saying that that's a bad thing at all. But they put the effort into television and not necessarily movies, but you know what I mean. Yeah. They put that effort into a casual medium, not put into comics. A most recent example from DC is Black Lightning.
Yes.
Black Lightning is probably, I think as of right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably the highest critically rated show, DC show on the CW.
It probably is.
Didn't give that same effort into a Black Lightning comic. On simultaneously with the first season, but it was different. It does read a comic adaptation, they get weirded out when it's not what they're watching on TV. I work in a comic book store. I worked there for a couple years, and I worked in a warehouse and all that kind of stuff. And TV and movies, they don't necessarily sell the books, but you do have a percentage of the audience that will come in looking for a companion or a tie-in or whatever. Anybody who would come in looking for the first couple issues of Black Lightning, I would see them flip through it, and then I would see them put them back because it wasn't what they were seeing.
That fucking sucks.
DC's biggest failing is that post-Milestone, it's not there.
So depressing.
Yeah.
No. I ran for the day.
No, you're fine. No, Travis, you and I kind of get it a little bit, and I know Mara gets it because her and I both grow up in the Midwest when it comes to middle to lower class poverty and whatnot, and it the issue in regards to the whole system of capitalism. And the issue at hand here is that a lot of African Americans can't really afford to buy comic books, so it's kind of a good thing that we had that TV show experience growing up. But even now, it's still both companies are painted in white. Black Panther is out there. Black Lightning has a TV show. Static and John, we grew up with them, but they still don't have concurrent books besides T'Challa because his movie did well. Is there a way to fix that, in your opinion?
Honestly, I would say characters that, like Mary was saying, get the effort. And like I know everyone's heard it time and time again, but we need less character reskinning. You know what I mean? Like I like Duke in the whole Bat family situation, but if I'm being honest with you, he's just a black dude in a yellow bat suit. Honestly. Straight up. It's the same thing with Batwing. It was, oh, Lucius helps me. I'm going to put his son in a bat suit. Okay, can we just stop putting him in bat suits? You know, Val Zod, Black Superman, that was just, I like it. They're cool concepts, but they're not original. They lack the black struggle. Does that make sense?
In a way.
A lot of these original characters lack that struggle. And like with Batman, Duke kind of has it a little bit, but it's, I don't know. Batman has this habit of adopting ethnic kids. So, like, it's tough. I don't know, man. I honestly, I wish I had the answers for that, but I want there just to be good, original black characters. That's
Can I
really
jump?
it.
Can I jump on Travis's point for a second?
Go for it.
About the reskinning of characters. I think that's why Icon worked so well.
Yes.
Is that Icon wasn't just a black version of Superman. He, they have very similar origins. They absolutely do, and that was done on purpose. Icon has his own backstory that is not coupled with Superman at all. Does that make sense? Am I talking sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. He's like fundamentally, I guess, in power set, he's like Superman, but as a character, you relate to him far differently.
Like just his entire origin of him like growing up in like understanding the black struggle from afar and even doing well for himself as a lawyer. You see that entire development and him going, I need to help these people. And it blows you away as you read it, because I've been going back through it and finally reading, because like when I was a kid, I only read like bits and pieces of it, but now going back through and reading Icon, it's just amazing. So I definitely see that point. And like when Black Lightning first came out, he was an original concept. Like Tony Isabella talks about all the time that when he came into DC, they were going to do something so much more bad as a black character. Oh my god. Oh, Travis, have I told you that story?
No, but I can't help it. I need to plug in my favorite moment of Harvey Birdman.
Oh god. Okay.
Aquaman asked me why they call you Black Lightning. I was like, why don't they just call you Whitefish?
Oh god. Oh god. But no, when Tony is like, if you like, I did an interview with him before, and he told me this story about how when he walked into DC, they had this idea of a character that went like when he would go to sleep, or when he would say, I think it was Black Power. He was a fat white guy that would turn into a muscular brown man. And he would he would fight crime during the day. He had like split personality disorders, so one didn't know the other. And he walks in as a big old white guy and goes, "This is bad. I'm from Cleveland. We will get sued. We will like the NAACP will come for our ass." And like so they end up changing the entire concept and creating Black Lightning.
Oh my god. Yeah, because then a whole other concept was a guy who caught the Negro. Like, wow. Oh, my God. I've never heard that before. That's something else.
What's even funnier is during Dwayne McDuffie's run of Justice League, he had a specific, like, 'cause there was a thing where Vixen went dimension hopping, and in one of the dimensions there was a team of Justice League that was totally different than theirs. In one of the Justice League chairs, there's this fat white guy who calls himself the Brown Bomber, and he says, "Black Power!" and turns into a black dude. I was like, no.
That's just something else, dude. I just know. Fred Hampton is rolling in his grave.
But no, this is definitely something we're going to dive into deeper in a few weeks on our newest podcast, Blurred Grounds. I definitely recommend that you come check it out. It's going to be amazing. We are recording a beta test episode for you guys next week. It's going to be our preview episode to show you guys what we're all about. So definitely check that out once we have that going live for you folks. Going into our next topic, I am so happy right now. My man, my Lord and Savior, that is Jeff Lemire, is writing a question book for Black Label. Like, I don't really care about the Joker book. Like, he's writing a book called Joker Killer Smile. But the only reason why I didn't just move past it is because of the fact that he's teaming back up with Andrea Sorrentino. And now I have to read it. Because when those two get together, it's just like, boom. Like, it's magic. Like, if you have ever seen their Old Man Logan, honey, let me tell you. Like, that is just amazing. So Milestone veteran Dennis Cowan is going to be helping out with art on the question, and I am so excited for this. Like, there was the possibility recently that Renee Montoya was going to take over the role of the question in the Lois Lane book, and so this kind of gives me hope that like Renee's going to be the question coming along, and like maybe they'll kill Vic Sage in the main timeline and just let him be a Black Label character. I would love that, because that way I could have the best of both worlds. That's just me.
Well, what thing is that in Lois Lane issue 1, she does meet with a faceless woman in a fedora. And Greg Rucka very famously is the one who wrote Renee as the question in 52. Mm-hmm. Montoya, as we know in Solicitation, is popping up in issue 3 of Lois Lane. So if Greg doesn't reinstate her as the question or a question-related character, I will eat my hat.
Are you even wearing a hat?
But I have several.
It has to be your Wonder Woman hat that you eat.
But we know that Vic Sage's question is going to show up in Event Leviathan. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but I know Greg has wanted her back as the question for a very long time.
Does Lois Lane take place after Event Leviathan or during?
Not figured that out yet.
Because like that'd be kind of cool if they sort of like on like a Marvel Legacy, that entire situation, just put it after, and like, yeah, Renee's the question now, and Vic Sage dies when he just came back, and it's like, no, go read him in Black Label. Like, that'd be so cool. I'm so excited. Like, just the idea of him writing this book after all the work on Black Hammer, like his recent Century book was so good, and I'm just, everything I read by this man is just so good, and he does so well with writing fantasy and horror that like having that little bit of mystery to it could be really well done in a Black Label book with Vic Sage. Like that gritty detective work sounds like something.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need it in my life. Travis, like, please tell me you're excited about any of this.
Yo, I honestly, like, I'm letting you go off because I like him for the same reason I like Batman. You know what I mean? Like, just the walking into a crime scene, breaking it down, finding just, oh, dude, I love watching the question work. Personally,
he's the inspiration for Rorschach, so like it's gonna be amazing.
Right.
I thought that was a great announcement that came over recently, and then the other big announcement is that John Carpenter is writing a Joker one-shot for Year of the Villain, and apparently
that's what I'm excited for.
And it's apparently supposed to like give Joker his groove back, and my question is, aren't we still waiting for 3 Jokers? Like, why do we need Joker to get his groove back? He was doing fine in Justice League. Like, he popped up in Batman a couple times recently. Does he need his groove back? I thought he had his groove. Like, what's going on?
I would say yes. I'd say he definitely needs his groove back, because like the Joker's always the Joker, and that'll never change. But we haven't seen him do much. Like, since Death of the Family, almost. Since he Jokerized the Justice League.
Yeah, so during Endgame, like, he's been doing stuff for a hot minute.
I feel like he hasn't been as menacing as he's been in the past, if that makes sense.
Okay. That's
He's just generic psycho killer.
Yeah, there's none of that. Like, I remember reading a one shot back in the day, and I please someone shout out the title if you remember it, where he gets out of Arkham. One of his henchmen has Harley as like a stripper, and he
what
skins
the
that
fuck?
dude alive. He skins that dude alive and throws him on stage, and then just takes Harley out of the place. That
Damn.
was probably one of the most like impacting moments I've ever had reading the Joker.
Damn.
And we haven't like I haven't seen that craziness and that's why I say Death of the Family, because like the chill you got when you were reading literally black pages of just black panels with Joker trying to tell a joke, people screaming, and then him breaking a neck. And
Damn.
so like Black Label opens up this whole thing of where we can get that and probably much worse. And I'm sick and twisted enough to enjoy it.
See, I think this has some promise. Now, granted, I was starting to get used to the idea of like a three Jokers thing where Scott Snyder's Joker can have his Dionysium and just be him, and then like we'll have other Jokers being malicious and old school and shit. But if this is the way they can give him some seriousness, then okay, cool. It's been a minute since Joker has been something cool because I thought Joker was doing some cool shit during Endgame. That was just me, but I agree. Death of the Family was amazing. Mary, you do you? I forget if you were the one that said you didn't like the Joker.
I don't like certain characterizations of the Joker. I'm very picky about him
Okay.
because they can do the psycho killer thing, but there has to be an added element to it.
Okay.
Make it interesting for me. And I am a huge, huge horror nut of John Carpenter. I mean, The Thing is probably one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Anyone can bring an additional aspect to that kind of, psychotic, gory mess that is the modern Joker. I think it's John Carpenter.
Okay. That's fair.
I kind of, because, I do have an affinity for the Golden Age, and I like that the Joker's characterization is that, he's a criminal, he's a gangster, and the Joker was just his shtick. And then he got progressively more demented as time went on because, that's the character's progression.
Yeah.
They have hit a plateau where you can only be so murdery in a comic book before it gets kind of repetitive and boring.
And just meaningless.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, the Joker's here. He's gonna kill some people. Like,
Yeah.
It gets old after a
John,
while.
right. And I mean, first some more name drops. The mind that brought us Big Trouble in Little China, I think, can do some greatness with the Joker and
Okay.
his wacky psycho stuff.
Okay. We'll definitely have to check that out when it comes out. What is it? October, November? Probably November. Well, we will definitely have to read that. Now it's time for a discussion, people, because I didn't know this was 2014, 15, something like that. Yeah, I didn't know it was 2014. No, it was 2016. Well, I know it's 2016 where we are back in the age of event after event after event that is Marvel. Because on the heels of War of the Realms ending, we have got the announcement that this November we have Marvel's Contagion happening, where this weird virus is taking over like all of the world. And we got all these cover reveals. We have Ed Brisson as the writer. One cover has the Thing being mauled by these freaking mole people that are infected. We got Iron Fist and Power Man beating up people. We have Jessica Jones and the new younger Asian Iron Fist from the Comixology exclusive. We have Moon Knight looking really infected, and we have just random heroes infected. And it brings up this problem that I've noticed again, where Marvel is going event crazy again. And I'm kind of concerned because we have this X-Men thing going on. We have Absolute Carnage coming up. We have this, like, literally as Absolute Carnage is wrapping up, and House of X and the other X book are going to be going on long term because Hickman does things long term. And we're reaching this point again, like how we had where Secret Wars ended, and then as New All Different Marvel was starting, we had Civil War 2, and that derailed everything. And then we started doing Inhumans versus X-Men, and then we had Monsters Unleashed, and then we had Marvel Legacy, and then we had Secret Empire, and it's just, there's so, I got the last two mixed up, but it's getting to a point again where I can't even look at a Marvel book and have a status quo for 5 minutes. Like Uncanny X-Men just ended again. Again. What's going on? I don't understand. Someone help me understand.
Welcome to Marvel Comics, where everything's an event and continuity doesn't matter.
Ouch.
Yep.
I mean, like, my policy for Marvel events is that I just don't. I mean, I did not read any of War of the Realms. The only, well, caveat, I read War of the Realms Uncanny X-Men for the sole fact that Karma was in it. That is the only reason I bought and read those books, was because Karma was in them.
You didn't care about Danny being a Valkyrie again?
Well, you know, I like Valkyrie Danny, I do, but I like Karma more than I like Danny.
Fair.
But no, I don't. The only time I would actually break down and purchase and read a Marvel event if it's like Universe of the Lesbians or something.
Dude.
Oh my god.
So you're saying an event surrounding America Chavez where, like, everything is the Gabby Rivera timeline?
Oh, I just keep saying that Marvel needs to do their own version of Bombshells.
Dude, they would make so much money.
Sold like gangbusters. But anyway, I digress. No, like, that's just my general events, is that I don't, because they're gonna dump everything into it. It's gonna go out across all of the books. I skip the issues that are tie-ins, like,
Legit, like, War of the Realms did the same thing Secret Empire did, where the tie-ins, or like the event had its own tie-ins that weren't actually issues, and then there was issues of comics that had tie-ins, and I don't understand. Travis,
I mean,
can you explain? Well, no, Mary, you finish your point. I'm sorry.
like, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes at the timing, because, you know, Deceased is selling really well, and then you have those people that bark up from the back that Marvel did Marvel Zombies first,
And
it's
Marvel
like,
Zombies is coming back too. Like, what?
Right?
I mean, like, look, I fully recognize that Marvel did Marvel Zombies first, but I mean,
it wasn't good.
it's very convenient that they decide to bring it back now after Deceased was the highest selling comic for May.
And to be fair, like, this isn't the first time DC's technically done zombies. Like, Blackest Night was a thing. Granted, Jeff Johns was swear up and down there they weren't zombies, but they were fucking zombies. Who cares?
Shut up, Jeff. They were zombies.
Like, just because they didn't eat brains, they ate emotions, does not mean they weren't zombies. But no. Travis, what do you think about all this event craziness?
It's kind of a weird, rough take, but maybe Marvel doesn't know what to do with all that in-game money. That's honestly all I can think of. Like, let's just throw it in the source material. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been seeing bits and pieces of War of the Realms, and I've been kind of falling in love with what I've been seeing.
Like Heimdall giving Daredevil his sword and making him the all-seeing. Like, what? What?
No. Just the sticks, dude. Like, you are the god without fear. Like, that was amazing for me. But on the same hand, I feel like with the bringing back of Marvel Zombies, it's just like they're trying to do the spite fights that they're so, well known for, and I'm not sure what it means for the continuities or the fans, because everything is so. I don't know. It's like every chance they get, they're throwing a giant boulder into the pond, not realizing that the water has to settle.
Exactly. It was the same situation with Marvel, like where Marvel during Civil War II, where these books couldn't get a status quo. Like literally, Miles' book started and got like 5 issues in. He quit the Avengers, joined the Champions, and Marvel and Civil War II started. So half of his issues became Civil War II tie-ins. Where like the one issue, because Bendis was writing Civil War II, was just a retelling of the issue of Civil War II, and I'm just like, why? Like hopefully in like like half a year, Marvel will realize they messed up again and will calm down with events. But I don't know.
I think Marvel's big problem with events is the fact that they have to stuff it all into the main continuity.
Ooh,
If we
that's a
want to
good
be
point.
those people and compare it apples to apples, DC's multiverse has always been their stronger suit.
Ooh, preach.
Always played very heavily into the multiverse, so you can have a book like Deceased, which, you know, is running rampant, or you could have a, like, not even a book, but a literal saga that was Injustice. And you can run these books, and because they're, you know, quote unquote, Elseworld stories, about that affecting your continuity. So you can run all of these books, Bombshells, Injustice, Deceased, and they don't have to deal with the main continuity.
Mm.
Whenever Marvel tries to do these one-off events or these big things, they all have to take place in the same continuity. After Runaways number 12, when they actually label that it has been 2 years between when the two characters, Nico and Carlina, tried to get together the first time, and when they actually got together, there was 13 publication years between those two times. But in the comic, they labeled it as 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. 2 years. It's been 2 years.
If
That's
all
something else.
happened
So
in
some
2 years,
went through and listed every single event that has happened in the last 2 years that supposedly has taken place in the Marvel canon.
you might need to show me
Uh,
this list.
Secret Invasion, Dark Avengers, like all of these things, you know, from the X-Men, from the Avengers, from everything. All of this has happened in 2 years.
Oh my god.
That damn near turns the Marvelverse into like the Warhammerverse. Like there is only war, only and always.
And that doesn't make sense in every instance because Secret Empire had a giant year gap, so that already doesn't make sense from the jump. So I'm just I don't know, man.
Like, when we open the issue, it very clearly says 2 years ago, and that's something that an editor doesn't miss. So,
Oh, bro, remember what was it during Marvel Legacy? You had Quentin Quire in the Thor book, like in the Thor book with the Phoenix Force. You had young Jean Grey trying to get the Phoenix Force. You had Thanos' son with the Phoenix Force, and the Phoenix Force was in Ultimates all at the same time. Like, the editors don't care.
but I mean, the fact that all of this crap has only happened in the last couple of years.
Huh.
I think I heard it once said from someone that each year of our time is 5 years in the Marvel universe. I mean, I think that's just kind of like a one-off thing, but I think that's where a lot of the event fatigue comes from, is that, you know, I'm making a separate point entirely now, but they got to cram all this stuff into the main continuity. It's where a lot of the fatigue comes from. I think pricing and variants are a huge ass problem.
Oh yes, variants are just so bad. Oh my gosh.
Their events are $4.99 and $5.99, and sometimes Marvel even runs $9.99 books.
Yes.
Ugh.
As a former comic shop employee, I still have nightmares over those $10 Deadpool issues.
Jesus.
I think it's a perfect storm of crap.
Hopefully it doesn't bite them in the ass sooner or later.
Yeah, and I'm noticing more and more people are just kind of stepping away from events. War of the Realms was a little different because you had Jason Aaron behind it, and a lot of people love Jason Aaron, especially his Thor stuff.
And they wanted to see the culmination of this entire thing that he was building up to.
But, you know, it's going to be the same as every Marvel event. There's going to be some, you know, allegedly horrific death of like a B-list character that everybody's going to be super upset about, but they'll be back in 2 years. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Look what
they
happened to
axed
Hammerstone.
Valkyrie, didn't they?
No, well, they axed Brunhilde, and then they said, "Hey, Jane, you're Valkyrie now." But no, hopefully Marvel can get their crap together. I'm worried about Marvel in general, but hopefully something good happens. But something that happened recently. Perfect segue. That wasn't planning on happening. IDW. Now, hold on for a second. If you haven't been reading IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics and you are a Ninja Turtles fan, you are missing out. Like, oh my lord, this comic series is approaching 100 issues, and has been. It's in the same vein as the Transformers series that just got rebooted, but before that, where they were just expanding the lore in so many different ways and having so many more stories, and we're in like the volume like of the 90s right now, where like the number 90s, where in the most recent issue, a woman who had to get a transfusion of Leonardo's blood has become a turtle. And she is going to be the 5th turtle and the new female turtle, a part of the team. Jenica. Sorry, I thought I had that. It was Jenica. Now, in all honesty, I think this would have been the ultimate time to redeem Venus de Milo from the crappy 90s show. This would have been the ultimate time, and they wasted it. But at the same time, I approve of this girl because she has like she got like Wolverine claws. She's got like a bow and arrow. She's got all this cool stuff. She's gonna be wearing like yellow as her color, and it opens up this avenue for new storytelling and giving like this character a whole new system. And I'm like slowly getting through all these Ninja Turtle books that I have missed over the years. I'm like, there's so many, but they've been doing this thing they did the Transformers books, where they have these giant omnibuy that have like amazing art on the cover of like each individual character. They have like 20 of the issues, or like 10, 15 of the issues, and they look perfect on your shelf, and it's such a good series. Mary, how do you feel about us returning to the idea of a female turtle?
Are you asking me first because I'm a woman?
No, I just honestly I didn't know how much of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan you
I'm
were.
sorry, I could not resist.
No, I know.
Resist.
But I know Travis is a Ninja Turtles fan. I didn't know how much of you one were, so I wanted to see what you thought of this.
Ninja Turtles is limited to my brother's VHS copy of the live-action movies from the 80s.
Wow.
I mean, I watched various iterations of the cartoon as a kid. I had a lot of my brother's toys, because I'm sure my 36-year-old brother would love me announcing to the entire internet that he was a Ninja Turtles fanboy.
Nice.
He still actually has a little Christmas ornament of the Ninja Turtles ice skating.
That's awesome.
He got it when he was like 12. But so my experience with them is limited essentially to basic knowledge. I always really liked April. Go figure. Like the fact that we're seeing the progression of the lore. I'm sure there is a group somewhere sitting very angrily in a basement typing about how girls are ruining things.
Oh, God.
Talking about.
Yes.
But, I mean, I think it's cool. Like I said, I'm not super... But it's always nice to see the story progression and narratives take a new direction, because rehashing of narratives gets kind of old after a while.
That is very true. We're noticing that in current comics, that has a lot of frustration to a lot of people, is that we're rehashing so many ideas. Travis, my man.
What's up?
You and I have been sleeping on this book, and we in trouble, because this book is amazing.
I don't know, man. I felt sweaty, dirty, and used after Batman and Shredder fought, and I was just so.
What you mean, bro?
I'm not saying I don't like to feel that way. It's just that was the release I had from seeing that fight.
Now, are you talking about the comic or the movie? Because the movie was bad.
The
Travis, you
comic.
asshole! I took a drink of something when you said that.
Like, was it the movie or the comic, Batman Ninja Turtles? Because
The comic.
okay,
The
the movie was
comic.
bad.
The movie was off. Like, okay, the fight was okay in the movie, but it wasn't nearly what the comics had. The comics was brutal.
Yes.
It was. Oh god, it was so good. But after that, I kind of yeah, I slept on the IDW. Oh man, so they're getting a female turtle though. That's insane. Not insane in a bad way, of course.
No, no. Like I honestly wanted like them to like because when there was rumblings of this happening, I was like, is it Venus? Are we getting Venus back? Can someone write a good Venus for me? Because I actually thought she wasn't a horrible character. And then they go, no, she's new and she's gonna have like Wolverine claws and be a badass. And I'm like, okay. Like I kind of wanted Psychic Venus de Milo, but all right, that's fine.
I think my only like skepticism that I'm gonna have right off the bat is like I don't want turtle tits and ass. You know,
No, like if you look at the artwork,
like
she definitely is a traditional turtle. They're not like doing some stupid shit. Thank God.
okay,
Not like Transformers with boobs or something.
Oh God.
yeah,
Oh
like
God.
it's just so unnecessary.
Well, no, Mary, have you ever seen a picture of Venus de Milo?
I think so. It's been many moons.
Oh, bro, Google that
Oh,
shit.
she looks sick. Okay,
Oh yeah, she looked like a badass.
I'm here for this.
But no,
I'm here for this.
Venus literally was a turtle with boobs, and it was weird. Like her literal shell was like curved to when she had boobs, and it was just
Yeah.
weird.
Not how that works.
No, I can't stand that shit, to be completely honest with you. And I'm sure like I'm speaking like or Mary is somehow puppeteering me from here, but it's so unnecessary. Like
Nah, fam.
Anatomically, it's so incorrect.
Did you look at a picture of her?
it came up right under the picture of Janica, and I'm upset.
Like it's so like just traumatic looking, and like seeing that as
Yeah.
a kid. What, Mary?
You know, she's dope. I am here for those claws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it looks really badass, but I'm just like I kind of wish we could have got redemption for Venus, but at the same time, I feel like Jenica has a future. I kind of am weirded out by the fact that like just some turtle blood made her a turtle, but like that's how we gonna do this, like comic books,
Right, District 9.
like it's comics. Like I've seen worse things happen in my life, so like. We live in a world where in Power Rangers the children have flying cars, so anything's possible. So, like from that, I think we can move into our next topic that has me just confused. So after the revelations earlier in the month that DC was going to be downsizing their imprints, that way there was just DC Kids, DC, and Black Label, while also kind of Wonder Comics and kind of Sandman universe. We got the announcement that Constantine was getting a new book in the Sandman universe imprint. And, okay, yay. But, at the same time, I'm scratching my head going, why did you get rid of Vertigo? Like, this is literally a Vertigo book and everything but the header. And I'm trying to understand why.
Can't help but see this is a reactionary move to the massive backlash of dumping Vertigo. Because I mean, you're taking two very popular Vertigo properties and smushing them together.
That's fair.
I have my own weird opinions about Constantine because I feel like he never quite found a home in the DC universe.
No.
Well, with Justice League Dark. But he never quite found his area because they couldn't go as, pardon the expression, balls to the wall as they did. But, I mean, I don't know. I just...
Like, now granted, I will say, One of my favorite Constantine in the DC Universe moments was when in the Christmas special, I think it was like this past year, the year before, where Jonathan convinced Clark to let John Constantine come to Christmas dinner, and I was just like, bruh, yes. This is adorable. Because Constantine's just bitching about how the world sucks and Christmas sucks and I hate everything. And then Clark just goes, you want to come to Christmas dinner? And it's like yes. So, like, it wasn't all bad. Like Mary said, Justice League Dark, the first volume was great. Um, I, I, I don't understand what's going on. Travis, how do you feel about this?
Uh, why would you just? I don't know. It feels like they're just like shoving it into a capsule. Just everything they just got rid of, and they took all the complaining. Like here, okay, all right, leave me alone, please. You know.
Like, it feels like how they did the Adventures of Super Sons, like when Super Sons was canceled and they aged up John. Like what happened to Super Sons? It's over there. Tomasi's doing it
Right.
over there. Like,
right.
no,
If you want John, go over there.
But it's a mid-quel. It doesn't matter because he's old now.
But here's my question of the day. The brain soup, if you will. Is it them thinking about the fans of Vertigo, or are they spitting in their faces? Because it not only the issue I have here is like they're gonna get the readers because it's in the Sandman verse, but Constantine books notoriously die young.
That's true.
I think it's both, to be honest.
It's both.
I think it's
that hurts.
what you just said of like, okay, no, he's over there. Go to your corner. Like, it feels like, okay, here we're gonna give you this, but we're gonna strip it down so much.
Right. It's not going to have nearly the same depth it has. Like you're not getting Lucifer. You're not getting really anything except for what Constantine's going to encounter.
Like it's going to a store, asking for a cash return, and getting store credit.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That's a very good way to explain that. Now, the argument I will give DC if they would utter this argument. By the way, Mary, you and I need to talk about Ubisoft later. The argument I will give DC in this argument is, well, Sandman has the House of Whispers, which is related to the House of Secrets, which is a Constantine thing, right, guys? And it's like, okay, fair, but you really didn't need to give Gaiman his own imprint. You could have just made Gaiman like a senior editor or editor in chief of Vertigo and just let him play with the toy box. But now we have a situation where the Sandman universe : is its own imprint that's kind of sitting on mixed legs right now because a couple of the books have hit trade, but we don't know if they're continuing. And Constantine's just gonna go over there in his little corner, and Mary and Travis just said, I don't know what to do with this. like freaking the Question got a Black Label book. Why, like, if you wanted to like put the label on it, like the Black Label, if you wanted to put the label on, yes, we care about mature reading content with Black Label, you could have made a pretty good like bow to the fans of Vertigo and said, John Constantine, Vertigo, not my Vertigo book once, but now as a Black Label book because of its maturity level, and let it do mature things. But you didn't do that, and it makes people question, why isn't Vertigo a thing? Am I making sense here, or am I talking out of my butt?
No, you got it. You got it.
Okay. Hopefully that ends up working out. I hope it doesn't die on the vine, because the Rebirth series was actually kind of good. I liked it. So hopefully this one has a chance of holding some ground. We'll see in November if it's any good. The other big news that we got the announcement of, so the past 2 years, we've had this book floating in the background that no one's kind of paid attention to. That was X-Men Grand Design, which was Marvel allowing a writer to go in and retell the story of the X-Men in like sort of like a best of kind of highlight reel, in like new art style, new different ways of doing things. It was really well done. And now we're getting that same thing, but for the Fantastic Four, and I'm excited. And now, granted, I wasn't really feeling the Dark Knight Returns homage with the Ben Grimm cover. That kind of made me cringe a bit. But everything else about this, the idea of trying to teach new readers and get new people on board, or give old fans a treat of like Fantastic Four backstory, I love it. I'm on board. Travis, I forget if you're a FF fan or not.
No, not enough to say I'm a fan. I enjoy the bits and pieces of them I've read, but it's pretty selective and always a recommendation.
Okay. Um, Mary, before you go in, Kai had a question in the chat. Is Gaiman even writing those new Sandman and Constantine books? He was the overseer of the Sandman universe books. He was the one who helped find all of the talent for those books, like House Whispers and whatnot. I think he did the first issue of the Sandman book, or whatever it's called. But otherwise, I think he was just overseeing everything. I may be wrong though. But for Constantine, I forget who the creative team is for Constantine. Um, Give me a moment. But no, Mary, how do you feel about Grand Design coming to the FF?
Mm, I am making grumpy noises.
Why?
Um, Very complicated relationship with the Fantastic Four.
Ooh, do tell.
A lot of reverence for them because my dad was a very big fan of the Fantastic Four, and he would come out of his nursing home and slap me if he knew what I was about to say.
Oh no.
I think, in a way, kind of boring.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that there's a distance between us so you can't reach through my microphone and strangle me.
No, I don't care because I've heard that opinion before. I know not everyone's on board with the humor. Honestly, like there was a time where even they bored me, but like from Civil War all the way until Marvel, like it's not Marvel, it was Marvel Now. I loved every bit of it, and then Hickman put him in the background of Avengers, and I was like, yay, Hickman, you brought him back. So, and then also, um, what's his name? Slot's been doing okay. So they've had their boring points. I will give you that.
Actually, jumping back to the Constantine books, it looks like it's going to be Simon Spurrier
Oh
and
God!
Simon Spurrier and Marco Tamaki.
Wait, they're both
New
writing it.
read that. No, it's Simon Spurrier writing it.
Okay, but why Superior?
The Sandman Universe Presents Hellblazer #1 will arrive October 30th from the dreaming writer Simon Spurrier.
That could either be a really good thing or a really bad thing because like Superior is like he has such a weird track record of either doing really bad or really good because he wrote an X-Force book that was horrible and then went over to Magneto and did really good. So he's a very mixed bag, and I don't like the idea of him writing Hellblazer.
He's knocking it out of the park with Dr. Aphra, but
He's writing Dr. Aphra? What? Okay.
so he took over the book after Gillen left.
Oh, son bitch, I didn't know that.
Jumping back to my thoughts about the Fantastic Four, primarily in nostalgia these days. That, and even reading from my dad's old Silver Age copy, the remaining Silver Age copies of Fantastic Four that he had through the 80s, through the 90s, through the early 2000s, I kind of dropped off around Hickman, but they're kind of hard to update.
That's true.
I think the resurgence that we had, what was it, last year when Slot brought them back?
Yeah.
That was an interesting reintroduction, and they've changed just enough. It's just, it's kind of a standstill. I think the Fantastic Four have gotten to the point where the villains are more interesting than they are.
Okay.
And I feel that, this Fantastic Four Grand design, which is kind of going to be really Kirby-esque, pretty much for the nostalgia sales. And I know X-Men Grand Design was the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the resurgence of the Fantastic Four, in terms of where they wanted it, I think it flopped.
Yeah, it's still doing like top 100 numbers. It's doing pretty good, but like it isn't the big shock they thought it'd be, which you kind of can't expect it to because the the mistake they made was thinking they could cancel the first family. Like it's going to do average numbers because it's a Marvel mainstay. Like it shouldn't be expected to do great, but the thing is, and someone um like anyway, um like someone made the argument a while back that the Fantastic Four, I think it was Jason Inman of Geek History Lesson, he made the argument that the Fantastic Four should just be in a time capsule, so similar to how the Shazam universe or the Marvel universe in the DC thing, like the one little planet where it's like everything's like old school and Billy Batson gets to be Captain Marvel and all that jazz. Like I kind of like that idea of like old school like stories of them together like doing adventures. That would be kind of cool to keep the Fantastic Four interesting, but also nostalgic for people who like that Kirby-esque storytelling.
It's not necessarily Johnny and Ben. I think it's the Richards family.
Ooh.
We're so far removed because they were kneecapped long before they were written out in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
We all know it was because of the movie thing. The Fantastic Four was kneecapped long before Secret Wars. And having Reeves and the kids just kind of disappear, and they're gone for a good 3 or 4 years in actual publication time.
Yep.
Nothing really changed with their absence. I kind of feel like I'm talking out of my ass a little here, but
no, you're making very valid points.
Reed and Sue specifically can be hard to update because he's the super smart science man and she's the loving wife with really no agency. I know I always really liked Sue, but I feel like she didn't have a lot of agency as her own character outside of her family.
She has a solo mini right now that the first issue just dropped, and it was okay, but like
because I picked it up. And I read it before we did the show, and I actually really liked it. I like that we're kind of seeing Sue by herself. Wade isolates her from the family to tell this story, makes it seem like they don't care about her.
Yeah.
Everyone's ignoring her. The kids are ignoring her. Reed's ignoring her, so she goes out for coffee.
I respect that. Like,
I've noticed that Reed and Sue have popped up in all of these different places, and they're trying to kind of write them back in as essentially like the two big universe that they used to be. Yeah. They were. My dad used to joke that they were the parents of the Marvel universe. He is not technically incorrect. But it's gonna sell because nostalgia always sells.
Yes.
And if you're doing an homage to Kirby, I love Jack Kirby just as much as everyone else. If you're doing an homage to Kirby, it's gonna do great. Really good. But in terms of Fantastic Four themselves, I am relatively lukewarm on. I think Future Foundation is gonna be their last chance to really boot the Fantastic Four back into high gear. Conspiratorial grumpy rant for the night, I guess. I do that really well.
That was really good, and like you made a very valid point. Like they do seem like they're struggling, so I do see where you're coming from.
I'm not talking in terms of like critically. I'm talking about where Marvel wanted them sales wise. Yeah. I think that's where it flopped. I feel like I'm all over the place. So.
Nah, you good, hon. You good. well, let's move on to the main topic of the evening. Because yes, Mary made some great points, but here is the big chunk of the end of the show. So, this week,
God, that I put that.
this week. Wait, what do you? Don't mess with the Google Doc. Um, this week, AT&T, like who are the owners of Time Warner, announced that they are going to be creating their own streaming service. Yeah, no, it is dumb. They're basically going to take HBO and make it the hub of all these different things and calling it HBO Max. And it's going to be the exclusive home of Friends and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which means TBS can cry because Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is leaving syndication. It's going to be the exclusive streaming platform for Batwoman, so now Mary has to buy it. It's going to be the exclusive streaming channel for everything Cartoon Network, aka Teen Titans Go, because it's all they play now. And
hey, Teen Titans Go is amazing.
It is.
Thank you.
It is an amazing show. I never said anything against it, but the problem, we might need to do that as an episode, just talking about Teen Titans Go. But anyway, but like it's the only thing they play, and it's frustrating. But no. And now apparently TBS, CNN, Boomerang, which is already its own streaming service through Amazon Prime and the Verve app that everyone runs their stuff through. So that might be a problem in the future. Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, HBO shows like Game of Thrones, DC comic movies like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, True TV, TNT, they're all going to be a part of this giant thing. And then we didn't know what the price was. Disney came out the cut and said $7. These fools couldn't give us a price. And
that's terrifying.
Yeah. And especially because, like, apparently HBO Go and HBO Now or whatever are, like, super expensive. So it leaves the idea of, yeah, this is going to be super expensive. So I wanted to bring this up as the idea of, are streaming services beginning to be a problem?
Yes.
At what point are they just replacing cable?
That's the thing. Like we're getting to a point now with Disney Plus drops in November. We have DC Universe. We have we have Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix. We have all these things. CBS All Access or whatever to watch a Star Trek. Like all these things to watch.
NBC's launching their own too.
NBC's launching their own. Oh my god. All this stuff.
They're pulling The Office on Netflix.
Oh god. It's this we're getting to this point where all of these like cord cutters, like Netflix was the reason to become a cord cutter, where you didn't believe in cable television anymore. But now all these streaming services are adding up to be more expensive than just cable. And that's not what the whole point of it was. And it's kind of looking scary.
Well, like I was pretty much on top like with the whole cable thing for a bit. I remember having a conversation with my mom about it. She was paying like several $100 for everything she got through Dish Network or DirecTV, and I'm getting the same stuff from Hulu and Netflix for a fraction of that. And now, with like, because I have to get Disney as a dad.
That's gotta be a struggle for you being a father, man. Like, that's gonna
be especially like I've been raising my child on Cartoon Network and it's been on Hulu, so this really hurts because like we just finished Steven Universe, for example. We watched Teen Titans Go daily, The Adventures of Gumball, regular show, like all of that stuff that like I have tried to show my kid. I now have to pay who knows what to continue that legacy with her, because man, I if I can't end a fiction series for myself, I can't do it for her. So now I know there are other parents that are out there like me. How much of a racket is this becoming?
Like, you know, all these parents that are about to be out here in the cut having to listen to Let It Go every other minute once Disney Plus drops. It is going to be living torture for them. And my heart breaks for y'all. I'm gonna go watch my old school Disney. Like, I'm gonna be watching Tailspin while y'all are watching Frozen for the 50th time. But like, that's just me. Like, I know I'm a Disney kid. Leave me alone. But no, like my heart breaks, and it's getting to the point where people can't pay their bills, Like we already had the problem where most people who wanted to watch Game of Thrones were doing 30-day trials or whatever. So what's gonna happen here if they're just like everything you want to watch on basic cable is now on HBO Max? It's like, really? Law and
Just gonna
I don't know.
it's just gonna resort in a rise of piracy.
Yep. Yep.
Another rise of piracy.
Another.
Yeah.
And like not like and
Well,
go ahead, Mary.
just gonna remark that, like you guys were saying, the lack of an advertised price for HBO Max, that worries me
Yes.
because they're dumping
Airtime.
into this, and especially with the HBO content alone. As much as I love Warner Brothers, and not necessarily Warner Brothers, but they have a habit of sticking their foot in their mouth.
Mm.
So the intro price is gonna be way too high. For Disney Plus being $7, that's maybe gonna last a year before they jack it up.
Yeah.
Because people will stop going to the movie theater.
Oh.
A movie comes out and you can just wait for it to hit Disney Plus. No, Disney's gonna jack that up.
Oh. You right.
Because if you've got 5 kids that you're raising on Disney and you spend several $100s to get them to the movie theater, but you just wait for it to hit Disney Plus, no, they're gonna jack those prices up.
That's true. And then
DC.
Go for it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think DC Universe is slowly starting to siphon off their media content because they just dumped a bunch of movies off of it.
Yeah, they freaking
And
dropped Watchmen on there, and I was able to watch Watchmen the other night. I was happy as hell.
they pulled off a lot of their animated movies. They pulled off like Superman 3 and 4. I mean, they're pulling off the 90s Batman movies.
What?
And I slowly start siphoning off their content and sticking it into HBO Max. DC Universe, I think Doom Patrol is gonna be the bargaining chip.
Yeah.
And Swamp Thing got axed because of typos, and Doom Patrol has not been confirmed. But if you look at the DC lineup for San Diego, they're getting a panel, they're doing signings, they're releasing it on Blu-ray. Like, it's getting a second season.
Yeah. It's
so
doing too well
I
to
think
give it a second season.
I think Warner Media is gonna trip and fall on their face in the mud because I'm looking, if you content alone, you've Game of Thrones, Big Little Lies, John Oliver, probably about $30.
Yeah.
I mean, because Friends, just all of these, there's content in this one app. I think we're going to be looking at a sizable package price, $5 to $30.
And like that kind of number versus other things like Netflix that's like less than $10 and Disney, like I don't think Disney has the gut to go past $10 to $12. I don't think they got the gall because that would shoot them in the foot too hard. Like they've tried to do like streaming older movies a little bit in the past, like even video on demand channels and stuff, and that didn't work. So if they screw up their plot of land and like before Warner does, then it's gonna look really bad. So I feel like Disney's gonna keep it at a steady flow, even if they're like a couple cents. It won't rise past 12, in my opinion. But it does.
My only concern for Disney Plus is that they've announced a lot of these Disney Plus exclusive shows, and yeah, Disney has the money streaming service in a deficit, or in the red. But will they actually want to do that?
Yeah.
Again, this is all conspiratorial tinfoil hat theories on my part, but HBO Max is gonna be a clusterfuck. And the fact that it's called HBO, it's gonna be pricey.
Oh yeah.
We'll probably find out at Comic-Con.
Yeah, and it just like it raises the question of like things like Runaways and Titans and Doom Patrol and Marvel Netflix. All like I'm so sad. Like, my hope. We were talking about this on Living on the Edge. I really hope that Charlie Cox gives another shot at Daredevil in the Spider-Man sequel. I'm hoping for that, but that's beside the point. But all these things, like, and then we're still having the problem of basic communication or even understanding with DC Universe and all these other streaming services in other countries. Like, what's gonna happen when is HBO Max gonna support other countries? Like we hear complaints on the daily. If you look at almost every tweet DC Universe puts out, it's people like the replies are people wondering when it's gonna go international, and that's
well,
sad.
DC Universe and Hulu are US only streaming services. So, I'm a huge fan of the Runaways, and when you're in the Runaways fandom, there are a lot of international fans, and they're pirating the show. International fans are pirating Doom Patrol. They're pirating Titans, and benefit of wanting these to be US based things, but you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol is airing on a channel in Canada, and I know it's on HBO in Spain.
Wow.
Themselves in the foot by having these be US based platforms. And you don't know if Disney Plus is going to be the same thing, if HBO Max is going to be the same thing, because the big issue is licensing.
Yes.
Have certain censorship laws, etc., that you don't have to run into those restrictions when you're pirating it. And I am not advocating for anyone to pirate anything. This is what's going to happen.
It's the truth, and it sucks.
Honestly,
Grumpy feelings about this, so I'm gonna let you two talk.
No, like Travis, I really want to understand your opinion though, because you as a single, you as a father, that has to be the worst thing trying to think about how this is gonna add up the bill.
honestly, I'm tired. I have subscription fatigue. That's the best way I can put it. Between the Netflix and the Hulu I already have, I'm doing okay, but within the budget, because I'm pretty below the poverty line. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to pick and choose what to get, and it looks like I'm gonna have to be trying to change out Let It Go for some Power Line, or bust. You know what I mean? Because Disney's gonna have what I need as a parent.
Yeah.
Which is more important. I can just play video games or paint or something if
Oh,
I need to be
absolutely.
entertained.
That sucks.
Screwed up.
See, Travis, this is why you need to just move out here and live in the Midwest instead of paying them California prices.
Oh, see, the thing is that
stay away from the Midwest, bro.
He wouldn't be in 100-degree weather if he was over here.
It's 93 today.
But that's not over 110. This boy out here.
It's 113 over here.
Oh my god,
113.
I'll take 90 over 113. That sounds like death incarnate.
Today.
So yeah, just come up, move out here, man. Get away from that heat. Get away from them high prices. We
don't
got
do
you.
it.
Don't do it. But no.
I just need to get out of the boonies so I can get some better internet. That's all.
All right. Well, we have reached sort of the climax of the show, where we give you our recommendations for the past week when it comes to comic books. While my comrades prepare their recommendations, I would like to pimp out a very special book from Marvel, because I don't rep Marvel that much when it comes to my recommendations. I usually like to go for the indie pick, but Marvel released a book this week by one of my not most favorite writers, Mark Guggenheim. I'm not a big fan of him because X-Men Gold was trash, but you know what? He gave me something good this week. If you go to your local comic book store, you will find a book that's I believe is either a one shot or it is a mini. I forget. It reads like a one shot, but you know what? It was damn good. Wolverine versus Blade. Oh my god. Like I remember when I was in middle school. It was around the time that the X-Men had moved to Utopia. There was this small volume of the X-Men book called Curse of the Mutants, where Wolverine and Jubilee were turned into vampires, and Wolverine's healing factor stopped him from being a vampire, but Dracula tried to turn Jubilee into a hoe, and that whole mess went down, and like Blade came in and tried to help everybody, and that same camaraderie that Wolverine and Blade had there, they have here, and it's so well done. It's so cool. That like Blade is witty, and it makes me want another Blade comic. I want it so badly, and no one will give it to me. I don't care about Strike Force. I don't like it. Just no, but like. I really enjoyed this book. I recommend that this is a pickup to anybody. I see what the artist was doing. What's his name? I see what Dave Wilkins was doing, because he made Blade look like Michael Jai White. He made him look like Spawn, almost like he wants to fan cast Michael Jai White as Blade. So I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did. But like there's just like for reference, there's this joke at the beginning of the book where Blade sets a whole room on fire. Oh wait, no, it wasn't Blade. Wolverine's stupid little hot claws ability he has now. He burns a bunch of corpses and shit, and Blade says something stupid like, "I'm gonna give this place a pretty thorough torching. Besides what you did, you're welcome to stick around. I brought marshmallows." And Wolverine's like, "That's an old joke, bub." And this fool pops out a marshmallow and says, "Who's joking?" Like, it gives you that old school feel that you've missed of like camaraderie like that, and I loved it to death. So if you're a Blade fan or a Wolverine fan, or just want a really good, bloody, gory, fun time, I recommend this book. Travis, what is your pick for this week?
Detective Comics 1007, for sure.
Why is that?
This is the second time he's rolling around with the Spectre, but I liked it so much because it has that one element that I like. Like we talked about it before, the Batman fatigue, but in the midst of it, Tomasi brought me in a very beautifully written manner his detective skills and how he's able to walk into a crime scene and pretty much look at what's going on, and he knows where everything came from, what's been done. Like there's a part where he pulls a piece of wood out and figures out like it's from this weird. I don't want to spoil it, but the analysis that he has is off the chain, and it's something we
Jim
don't
Corrigan
see.
again?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely a pickup for folks. Mary, what is your recommendation for the week?
I also have one for last week because we didn't do a show last week.
All right, cool.
But my week, to the surprise of absolutely no one, is Lois Lane #1. To the surprise of absolutely no one, I'm going to recommend a Greg Rucka book.
Okay.
Right.
Lois Lane #1 is setting up what is going to be a noir reporter thriller. Is really the only way I can describe it. Spiritual success, and I can confidently say this after one issue, but it is the spiritual successor to Gotham Central.
Ooh.
So if you like that gritty noir realism that Greg Rucka brought to Gotham Central, you will want to check out Lois Lane.
All right.
I actually wrote a really in-depth review about it, so you can check out my review on our website.
Yes, you can. All right.
My recommendation for this week is bringing it all back around full circle is Naomi #6.
Yay! All right.
It closes out this first arc, and it's just my heart.
Oh.
I'm dead.
I need to make a meme of you just going my heart. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in with us for this hour and a half, having a good time talking about comic books and such. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at @PGB_podcast. Don't forget to follow the website Twitter on Comics Ground and our Instagram on Comics Ground. Check out the website every weekday for news, reviews, and opinion pieces about the latest comic books. We love talking about comic books with you guys. We love giving you the news about everything in comics and nerd culture. So please come hang out with us at oncomicsground.com. And as always, my name is James is Portis. My closing statement for the evening is always support your local comic book shop and find a book for you. There is a book out there for everybody, so please find it and enjoy reading. Travis, what is your closing statement for the evening?
Oh, man. We need more better Joker stories.
Oh, God.
Thank you, John Carpenter.
Oh, God. Mary, what's your closing statement for issue 10?
Heart, like my heart. that is my closing statement. Is my heart.
Okay. Well, in memory of Dwayne McDuffie, we will sign off this evening. Have a great night, folks. Peace out.